The best player we coached against? We only coached against Caitlin twice, right? Both times she had over 30, right? I don't know if there's a player that I coached against that had 30 points against us in the two times that they played. Both one's a win and one's a loss. I would say she's probably the most difficult to scout to play against in that she can beat you a variety of ways. She can beat you with obviously her 3-point shot. But for me, the most dangerous thing of Caitlin Clark is her passing ability, her ability to make other people better, and her ability to have, other people's production along with her production. That's how you win. If you can get somebody to produce along with her, if you could take that away, and that was our emphasis when we won, when we beat them in the semifinals. No, actually, it was the finals last year. We said Caitlin Clark's going to get 30. She can't have 12 assists.
What's up, Fever Nation? Don't panic. Preseason game. We got to look at the bench. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on tonight. Do you see how teams are filing Caitlin Clark in the preseason? In the preseason. Fever Nation, do you realize the Fever took 42 free throws tonight? I'm going to show you in the stats. They took 42 free throws. And I'm also provide this is not a time to panic. It's nothing to be overly concerned about. The only thing I'm overly concerned about is Stephanie White coaching. Let's look at this first quarter. The Fever have outscored teams in the first quarter just about in the first two games. They scored 32 points in the first game against the Liberty. The Liberty. Now y'all know the Liberty is not the Wings, and the Wings is not the Liberty. So don't have an out-of-body experience over this game that they lost tonight. It's a preseason game. There are no preseason records. There are no preseason awards. Now, people are going to talk about the preseason as if it's a real game. And you even heard the announcers tonight talking about how these players are playing it like a real game. However you choose to characterize that, no one's going to remember this game in 2 or 3 days. I promise you. If anyone is talking about this preseason game next week or later this week, clearly misunderstand the whole purpose of preseason. These are evaluations and assessments. I hope Justine Passau sitting out tonight with some phantom injury is an indication that the Fever are going to keep her on the roster. Now, back to the first quarter. Just like the first quarter was in their opening preseason against the Liberty, they came out on fire. They came out hitting baskets, finding open teammates, getting shots up, and making plays. Now, they missed some layups. That in the first quarter, they missed layups. I know I counted at least 2 to 3. 2 for sure. Billings missed a drive to the basket, and Special K, which y'all call Money Mitch, she missed a layup driving to the basket. Sophie opened up the game getting fouled on a 3-pointer, and she missed 2 of 3 free throws. So just think about that. Think about that for a moment. Look at how much they scored. 29 points. 2 missed layups, possibly 3. Well, let's go with 2 for the sake of numbers. That's 6 points, Fever Nation. That's 6 points they left on the table. That's 35 points. Mark my words, the Fever is going to be the first team in WNBA history to score 40 points in a quarter. You heard it here first. Remember that. You heard it here first. Now, back to the game, back to the stats. First quarter is all I want to talk about because that's the only quarter where the team seems to be in a rhythm. After the first quarter, it seemed like it all falls apart. Now, my theory is Stephanie White starts to coach. I think that's what the problem is. She starts to coach. She starts to stand up more on the sideline as if she needs to be seen. Stephanie, you're just looking at the people you need to keep. I hope you keep Passau, Justine Passau. You got to keep her. She spreads the floor. Do you see how they were in such a hurry to sign Dantas, and everybody going to say, oh, she's rusty. I thought she was playing in the off season for her country, Brazil. I thought she was balling. Come on now. I mean, I don't want to hear all that. The Dantas cannot run the floor. She can't run the floor. I know the front office loves her, and I know Stephanie is in love with her. Not like that, not like Lisa Salters in love, but in love with Dantas as a player. But my goodness, she doesn't bring that much to the table. If Dantas is not knocking down that three, she's a liability. She's a liability. It's either feast or famine with Dantas. That's why you have to sign Paso. Dantas missed 10 open threes. 10 open threes, not contested. 10 open threes. Now, let me ask you this, Fever Nation. How many of those threes do you think Paso would have hit? That's the point. That's why I say this is no time to panic. And all that stuff y'all seen tonight, Dallas was one of the worst. Dallas was 10 and 34 last year. And it's not going to probably be much better this year. Don't forget, Boston didn't play tonight. All those second chance rebounds y'all saw Dallas getting tonight, that's not going to happen in the regular season. When Boston hits the floor, all that's going to come to a screeching halt. For those of you who have been watching my channel, you know my metrics. For those of you who have just joined my channel, these are my metrics. Missed layups, missed free throws, and turnovers. Those are the keys and losing the keys to winning and losing. Those are the keys to winning. If you lose any of these keys, you're probably setting yourself up for an L. But if you manage these three keys, you give yourself the best opportunity to win. Did you all have any idea that the Fever went to the free throw line 42 times tonight? Look at this. Look at the totals at the bottom of this stat sheet. What was the Fever? Fever hit 28 of 42 free throws. They missed 14 free throws. Now, you know they missed more layups after the first quarter, too. I counted at least 6. There could have been more than that. I'm just being conservative in terms of the entire game. I'm just being conservative for the sake of numbers. 14 missed free throws. See, these three factors are controllable, Fever Nation. You can't control the refs. You can't control the calls. I saw some very suspect calls tonight, but it's the preseason. I don't want to get into that. One thing I have noticed, it appears that the refs are going to protect the superstars in this league. I saw guards from the other team trying to grab Caitlin, and the refs were immediately on it. They were not allowing the additional extra contact on trying to guard Caitlin when she's trying to go around screens. They're grabbing her, literally. Now, they appear to let that go in the Liberty game because that young, I forgot her name, but there's no way that woman's going to check Caitlin. And these guards tonight, they were grabbing. They were grabbing. Now, I know y'all going to probably say, oh, she didn't look good defensively. Look, she doesn't need to go all out tonight to prove anything to anyone. Again, there are no preseason awards. Even if she does prove it, what has she proven? They're going to adjust. If Stephanie is half the coach she claims or thinks she is, the legend in her own mind, she is, then she should adjust. Stephanie should be able to adjust. Now, it is rumored that the Fever is trying to stay vanilla, not in terms of race, Fever Nation. And you all out there, you're chomping at the bit for some foolishness to happen on this team and roster with all this South Carolina nonsense. Mad at this girl Raven for embracing teammates on the team. I'm not going to even get into that. Back to the stats. 14 missed free throws. That's what? You add 14 points to what the Fever ended up with. What was the final score, Fever Nation? 95-80. These are controllable points, Fever Nation. Turnovers are controllable. Layups are controllable. Missed free throws are controllable. These are controllable factors in the game that this is within the team's control to manage. If you manage these stats, you manage these three areas, you give yourself the best opportunity to win games. And given the roster that the Fever has, if they keep the right shooters, people who can space the floor, Hines Allen, I saw her take some threes. I wasn't impressed, but I'm sure she'll get better. Okay, I'm sure she'll get better. But other players that did not play tonight are capable of spreading the floor. I'm not gonna give you a can you imagine if this young lady was on the floor who did not play tonight, spreading the floor out. If they're gonna give Caitlin that much tension, you have to hit your open threes. Here's another thing. What was Money Mitch? What was Money Mitch tonight? Let's take a look at her stats. Okay, Money Mitch was 0 for 4 from threes and 2 for 2 from the field. No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. From the free throw line. You know that's not going to be regular with Money Mitch. I call her AKA Special K. That's not going to happen a lot. So, again, if Money Mitch shows up, it's a different game. But that's why I'm not overly concerned, and I'm trying to compel those of you who are sane after this game to not panic. This is not a game to panic. The only thing we should be in a panic about is this final roster at this point. They need to keep the shooters, people who have demonstrated they can knock down open shots. With Justine Passau has demonstrated. You can say, well, there's a preseason game. She was getting off that shot in people's faces. And at 6'4", with her release, she's firing away immediately. And if you would have given her 10 open looks at the basket, that girl probably would. Well, I'm not going to even go there. Fever Nation. But you know where I'm trying to go. They need to keep her on the roster. It's Caitlin, can you pull some strings to keep Passau on the roster? She gives y'all the best opportunity to spread the floor and run some real offense and run up the numbers. Okay, Fever Nation, I did not try to make this a long one. It wasn't my intent, but I just wanted to calm your nerves tonight, okay? Calm your nerves. It's a preseason game. We're just looking at the people we need to look at, who gonna ride and who not. That's the bottom line. That's what the preseason is about. Don't get caught up in all of this stuff. Now, I do want to point this out. They picking up Caitlin in the preseason 94 feet. They're not letting her get that ball on the inbound and running it up the floor. You see that? And this is preseason. We're seeing Stephanie White. We're seeing the coaching that you're going to face in the regular season. So you already should have a plan, Stephanie. And if we don't see adjustments made, Stephanie, you may as well mail it in and let the engine run this team while she's on the floor. Let the floor general handle it from here. And you just sit back and watch. You just keep the wheels on the train, on the track. That's your job. When all the wheels start coming out, then stand up. But even if we lose a few lugs, just hold your peace. Just sit there. Don't move. Just raise your hand. Make it look like you want to say something, but don't say anything. Just sit there and talk to your assistants. Talk about what you would have said if you were not having this out of body experience. You got to learn how to relax, Stephanie. You don't need to be seen. No one buys a ticket to see you. That's not nothing personal. That's just a fact. You all have a good night, Fever Nation. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm out.